Alrighty, good morning. Welcome back, everybody, to JJ's PC Builds. It's JJ with you once again. I'm getting a jump start today before I get into the car and do anything because that phone thing was just too much. But anyway, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. Let me fix this. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do help and support the channel. What we're talking about here today is Intel and them sitting there taking pop shots at AMD over the stupidest things I've ever seen. And I've seen a couple reviews on this, and you know, I was like, oh my God. I just got done doing a video yesterday, if I remember right, talking about how Intel and their products are not meeting to the performance. But now they take a pop shot at AMD, saying the same thing, that their products not meeting up to the performance standards of Intel. Intel, you need to look in your closet. Because I'll tell you what, from what I'm hearing and I'm seeing, and people that I know are testing, you're not keeping up with standards like you're supposed to. So let's go ahead and jump into this little presentation I got going on in the action screen. Okay. Now we got Intel's big old marker right there. Let's go ahead and just get it on and talk about piece by piece what's going on. All right. Let's make that really big so Intel, you can see this, my friends. The 14900K. That's about as close as I'm going to get to the 14900K for the simple fact. The 13900K is only about maybe 2 or 3% performance difference. So why would I pay for a more expensive and when I can get it cheaper? And I just want my subscribers and everything else to understand this. You know, but let's move on. Let's move on to the pop shots that Intel took. Core Truth 1. Let's move it up here so y'all can see it. Let's read it together. The Ryzen 5 7520U. Okay, now they're dealing with laptops. Okay, the 7520U is a laptop processor. I mean, if it was like, if they said it was the 7500X or the 7500F or the 7600 or the 7600 X or something like that, then yeah, that would be desktop. But this is more or less to laptop. Okay, you can't confuse people by saying, look, I'm desktop. I don't do laptop videos. You know why I don't do laptop videos? Because number one, they usually heat up too much and cause a lot of issues. 2, you get a lot of crashes. 3, you use up the battery life more than anything. You know, trying to play a decent game. Like if you're trying to play, like, I'll just put it like this. You can't, I mean, even if you try to play Alan Wake 2 on a laptop, you know, that's the reason why I don't do laptop skits and I do desktop, because desktops got more power than laptops. And don't get it wrong, they do. And now, this is Zen 2 architecture, okay? Go to Zen 3 architecture, which I'm on, the 5700X. So this right here, what has that got to do with the Zen 4 architecture. This has not, it makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. So with them nitpicking at the Zen 2 architecture, obviously they have nothing else to talk about. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's put up here what everybody's talking about. Ryzen snake oil. Just be careful. It might bite you there, Intel. From what I'm seeing, it's definitely going to bite you. You know, when it comes to everything that AMD has cooking. You know, I run AMD and I run NVIDIA. I don't have anything that's Intel. Oh, I do have one thing that's Intel, and that is the network card that's on this motherboard. That's the only thing I got Intel, is that network card on the motherboard. Everything else is AMD. Everything else is NVIDIA, Asus, Corsair, Crucial, Jumbo, and Thermaltake. So, great combination I got going on there. But as far as snake oil right here, I doubt it, because for the simple fact that the testing that was done on between the 5800X3D and all the rest of your processors, Intel, the 5800X3D is Zen 4 or Zen 3 architecture. So that's in AM4 platform, which I'm on now. So if I get me a 5800X3D, that means that that processor will blow all your processors out of the water. Even though that it's at $300 and some, and your processor is about $600, and that's like half price. And it's last gen architecture, and it still blows all your processors away. So if y'all are really wondering, you know, when it comes down to soup nuts, until they can come up with something better on the next gen, if you're on the AM4 platform, the 5800X3D is going to kick the tails out of a lot of processors. It's still bad to the bone. And that's, instead of that snake oil, they should have put bad to the bone 5800X3D. And it's still killing it to this day. Yeah. So let's move on and let's talk about more. Let's see. Let's move this up. Ooh, too big. Okay. Data Image Center. Advantages versus AMD's Naples? What the hell are they putting a Naple in there? Or are they trying to imitate nipples? I bet you that's what they tried to envision. I'm trying to envision all this. Intel's holocaustic data center solutions. Proven system performance innovation check. How come it's a black check and not a green check? Good question. As far as innovation, if you would have brought out Meteor Lake instead of a refresh on the 14th gen, I think then you would have said that was innovation. But doing a refresh is something that slackers do when they don't want to take, and when they want to sit there and suck the community dry of all the money that they got, just so you can get every last cent you can out of a product, does not show innovation. That shows greed. 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 All Okay? When you're that damn greedy and you're trying to suck everything you can out of the community, gaming community is going to look at you like you're stupid. Okay? Architecture for data center. Really? Do you really think AMD is that bad? I don't think so. I've been running AMD for a lot of years. And when it comes to their processors, I hate to tell you this, you got a lot to learn. Especially in data center. I mean, you know, you think they're kind of behind in the times. You better check your own backyard. So I really don't think so. Robust SW and HW ecosystem. No. Back then, I'll tell you what, back then when you guys had the cores and the threads, you had somewhat of a dominancy. Now that you got this P core and E core shit, horse shit, it doesn't make sense, especially with Windows scheduling. You know, you're trying to sell the public and try to tell the public that you got the fastest processors, but the one thing you're lacking is the need for speed. So, trying to sell the public and say, oh, my P cores are faster than Intel and AMD's cores. I'll tell you what, AMD stuck with the cores and threads. And, you know, hyper-threading, you might have killed it on Intel, you might have killed it on yours. But AMD is still going good on hyper-threading. So with the hyper-threading, I don't complain because I know it's robust. So when you don't got the robustness of a processor, you ain't got nothing. And this 5700X is definitely killing it. So I'm not complaining. Especially when I got people that come up to me and say, how come I got a better motherboard than you? I got a newest processor than you. I run the same GPU as you. But you get more FPS than I do. How is that? How do I get more FPS than they do? Well, because you know what? The processor from AMD knows how to bump and grind and get down to the nitty gritty of pulling up that extra power. So, and that brought to the same question. How can AMD GPUs have less cores and thread, or less cores on an AMD GPU than it does NVIDIA, but it gets better performance than NVIDIA? See, you got to understand, that's the key factor right there. AMD has it nicked. If they just push it just a little bit further, they can knock Intel out of the box and they can knock AMD out of the box. Hands down. So let's see. AMD repurposed desktop product for server. Okay, repurposed desktop for product server. You know what? There's any motherboard that I have that's built for AMD, you can definitely make a server out of it. And if there's any motherboard that I have here for Intel, you definitely can make a server for it. Either way you look at it, it doesn't matter what computer you have. Does not matter. Does not matter what kind of motherboard you have or anything else. Anything can become a server. That's just plain stupid. Plain stupid. Any motherboard can become a server at any time because that's where they began, starting out as a server. So kind of do your research. I mean, go back down to the 70s. Okay, every motherboard that was created with them big reels and everything else was a server. Do you think they were gaming back then in the 70s? No. nothing but servers. And then when Intel came onto the scene, putting their data processing, it was a server. There was nothing for gaming back then. And everybody took the server. They took the server processors, which AMD had, which was what? Their first ones, you know, God, I can't even remember that far back. You know. So, Intel, you might have been in the game from the beginning, but you're not the biggest game on the block now. So do understand that. So, inconsistent performance from 4 glued together desktop dies. Really? I have never noticed that. I have not noticed that, you know, I got 4 glued dies. As far as I know, I got 2 dies that are on a PCB that are connected onto the, you know, the pinout for the processor. That's all I know that's in there. But 4? I don't know. I'm not gathering that. I'm not gathering the fact of that you're trying to tell them they got glued dies, but you're trying to tell everybody that you're trying to now you're trying to glue your processors to glass. You forgot about that. You forgot about the fact of telling everybody that you're trying to glue your stuff to glass and make a glass processor. You didn't tell everybody that. So the gluing part, you better kind of watch out because that's pretty much what you do too. So poor track record, inconsistent supplier. Are you sure you're talking about AMD or are you talking about NVIDIA? Or are you talking about yourself? Oh, because you build everything in-house. That's right. That's because AMD gets theirs from different suppliers, which gives a better price on everything else. So you claim that they got inconsistent suppliers, but from what the community tells me, and everybody tells me that that's not true. So lack of ecosystem. Wow. Okay. So on YouTube, there's 1.4 million, just estimate, 1.4 million subscribers to NVIDIA. There's over 600,000 to 700,000 subscribers to AMD. But there's only 250, maybe 300,000 subscribers to Intel, from what I'm being told, on an average. So I don't know about ecosystem. I think AMD's definitely got more money in the bank than Intel does. Because if you look at how many billions Intel's got compared to how many billions AMD's got, obviously the ecosystem's a lot bigger over there on AMD than it is Intel. Now, NVIDIA's is in its league in its own when it comes to just GPUs alone. So, all right, moving on. Let's see what this says. Core Truth 2. AMD's old architecture is hidden in plain sight. Well, do you expect them to hide it? You expect them to tell everybody that it's not? Oh, what you mean is that their architecture they're still supporting after all these years, up to like what, Zen 1, Zen 2. They're still supporting Zen 1, Zen 2, as well as Zen 3 and Zen 4, and now going up to Zen 5. At least you can still play games on their Zen 1 architecture, their Zen 2 architecture. Is that what it is? Probably. But that's in plain sight, and a lot of people are still playing off of the Zen 1 and Zen 2 architectures. They're now coming up to the Zen 3 architecture. They're taking their time because they're getting their money's worth out of their products that they enjoy so much. And some people get scared that they enjoy it so much and they go to the next big thing. They might not get what they expect because of all the BS that's going on. And I brought this up in my last video, that all the BS that's going on about the performance dropping, but the price increasing. This is going across the board, all companies, to where the price is going up and the performance is going down. And a lot of people are seeing this, and that's the reason why people stick with their old architecture, because it's just as robust as it was when they had it. They first got it probably in 2018, 2019 or so on. So, and they're happy with it. So they're sticking with it. But what's killing the industry right now is this overpricing for underperforming hardware. And I can say that because I'm a little disappointed in my RTX 4070. That the rasterization is low compared to a 7800 XT that just come out from AMD, which the rasterization is high. See, now the things that they should have put into the GPUs, that should have been there. But as far as Intel making this bold statement that AMD's old architecture, if that's the case, then how come ARC can't keep up with AMD GPUs? If that's the case, how come ARC is still struggling to get to the top? How come ARC is still having system crashes, blue screening, and everything else that's being reported across the board? It seems that, Intel, you have a failing product because you're not keeping your attention to it. No, you're keeping more of your attention to what other people are doing instead of focusing on the job at hand. You're not focused on the job at hand. You're not focused on your consumers. You're not focused on that gaming community. You're focused on what everybody else is doing and what's going into your pocket. Don't get it wrong. Everybody follows what's going in their pocket. But if you don't focus on your consumers, you ain't focusing on shit. You're just wasting everybody's time. And time is money. And when you waste my time, you're wasting my money. And that's the way I look at it, being a reviewer. But that's in the eyes of the consumer. Eyes of the consumer. I built my channel onto what your consumer would think to do. My channel's based upon the consumer that can barely afford a computer system. How they can get a computer system without having to spend arm and a leg. Which I'm going to focus on doing soon, some pre-builts on another video. And we're going to go soup to nuts, and we're going to go looking all over the place for pre-builts that are greatly built, but for the lowest prices you can find. Now, no matter if it's Intel or AMD, no matter if it's AMD or NVIDIA or Intel, ARC, doesn't matter. It's how the combination sits in the system that makes it work so well. You all are in the same soup kitchen. brewing the same soups, just with different names. That's all you're doing. And you're giving, and right now, you guys are hurting the consumers. You are hurting the gamers on all this high-priced, low-powered shit. So, AMD's old, try Intel's old, try, NVIDIA's old, all y'all's old. It's not just one, it's all. So, moving on. Let's go on and see what this is about. Can I trust that this is the latest? Okay, so you get a 5 on the box. Okay, so I got now before we go on with this is going to be funny as shit, and you're going to see this. I am going to bring you back to the desktop for a minute. Okay, now I'm going to move this all around just for a moment. Just for a moment. I'm going to move all this around just for a moment. Okay. You see the 5 on the box? You see the 5 on the box? What's the difference? Try focusing on what's on the top before you show somebody what's on the box. That is just a bunch of crap. I could go over here. I could go over here and do this. It's what's on top of the box that matters. A little bit of inside intel. Kind of, look at what you're kind of bringing to the table other than bringing something like that. Something like that, I don't think so. So you're bringing something that is like old news. But I can tell you, if you don't read the top of the box, you'll never know what's in the box. I mean, the 5 series, this could say 3 series. This could say 7 series. This could say 9 series. You're just grasping for straws and saying, trust me, snake oil. You're grasping for straws. Now, not a lot of people are going to bring it like I'm bringing it to you. And I don't care if you hate me or not. I really don't, because you guys don't send me shit. So I could really care less. When you start sending product to me for testing, that's when I'll start having my change of mind. But when your product looks like crap in front of the consumer, it's crap. Everything that you got right now is crap. C-R-A-P. Okay, bottom line. So this right here makes no sense. Makes no sense. Moving on. Let's see what this says. Core truth number 3. The future of education and learning depends on the latest technology. The latest of what technology? Whose technology? Your technology or AMD's technology or NVIDIA's technology or ASUS's technology or MSI technology or Gigabyte technology or NZXT technology or Crucial technology or Corsair technology, Thermaltake technology? What kind of technology are you talking about? Think about it. There's much more than Intel on this market. So if You're depending on the latest technology. You keep depending, because if the 5800X3D is blowing all your CPUs out of the water, then you really need to think about it. I mean, you don't have the latest technology. You're running 16 cores, 24 threads? Who the hell would run 16 core 24 threads? Did you do your math? Oh, let's see. Let's grab the calculator. I know how you all love the calculator. So we're going to bring it. Okay, so what's 16 cores times 2? That's 32. No, your processors have 24, so you minus that from your 24, you're missing a whole 8 cores. You're missing a whole 8 cores off of your processor. You want to talk about the latest technology using 8 threads, sorry. And you want to talk about the latest technology? No, your technology is screwed up. Okay? I don't get how, if it was AMD, if they did a 16 core processor, they're going to give you 32 threads. Believe that. They're not going to give you 24 and say, have a nice day. That wouldn't make no sense. Then you're missing threads. It's always, for every core, it's times 2. So what happened to that philosophy, Intel, where every core it's times 2 to give a better path, increase the path performance for each core? Whatever happened to that? Did you lose sight of that? I guess you did lose sight of that, because you went from hyper-threading to some bullshit, CPU you got now. And everybody says, oh, I like it. You can love it all you want. But when the truth hits, guess what? Intel ain't going to be standing that long. When you all wake up and see that how much they're robbing you from performance and charging you more on the price, then you're going to wake up. So do yourself a favor. Wake up. If you haven't woke up yet, you better wake up. This right here doesn't make sense. Because I guarantee AMD has cornered the market with Sony. They have cornered the market with a lot of educators and everything else. You think you're the only game on the block? Hell no. Intel, that's just sad that you're doing this. And then on top of that, I'm going to go just a bit further. You decide to pull it down from your website, all this, and think people aren't going to talk about it. Well, when you put it there the first time, you had a meaning towards it, so this was your meaning, so let's go ahead and see what your meaning really was, which we're giving it to you now. I think this is insulting, because you want to sit there and chop at somebody's neck because you don't have the technology you think. You are based on corporate server technology. You are based on corporate server technology. You've been that way for years. When it comes to gaming enthusiast, you know nothing about gaming enthusiast. When you try to show everybody, oh, I can overclock mine to 6 gigahertz and stuff like that. Okay, well, if you could do it up to 6 gigahertz, how come you ain't up to 8 to 10 gigahertz by now? How come you're still sitting at 6 gigahertz? How come you're not all the way up to 8 to 10 gigahertz? How come you're not pushing the envelope? How come you're not pushing the envelope on frequency? How come you're not pushing the envelope on cores? How come you're not pushing the envelope on anything that's yours? Doesn't make sense. But when you want to come at AMD, or you want to come at different companies, don't think that reviewers ain't going to be out there. They're going to be watching, they're watching you Everybody is watching you. You become the spotlight. Just like these other companies, they all become the spotlight. Especially in this world, this community. You screwed up big time. And I can, you all can hate me for saying this. I don't care. But when it comes to, decent products, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really have not seen any decent products come out of Intel for years. Why do you think I'm still on AMD when it comes to the processors? When it comes to the processors, I stayed on AMD. Because I don't feel I want to use a business corporate processor for gaming. And that's the inspiration in my mind. Now, AMD, on the other hand, has been pushing MMX technology for years. Something AMD tried to do, but they didn't. Or no. Same thing Intel tried to do, but failed. On their was it MX2? Something like that. I can't remember. There's a couple processors you guys tried to do with MMX technology. Okay. Now, AMD was the only one that surpassed. When it come to gaming, AMD was the only one that was on the top game. Now, Intel was sitting at the rock bottom for the simple fact because Intel was based upon server technology. They were never based upon gaming technology. Never. And then when it hit like 2017, 2018, getting close to the 2019 mark, yeah, then you started changing your little tunes. But you guys Intel, you're just based on server technology in my mind. Until you can prove it to me with something I can test, I'm going to keep thinking the same and I'm going to keep saying the same. That your technology is just based upon server technology. It's not based upon gaming technology. You're not pushing the limits. You're going backwards instead of forwards. You're doing this P-core, E-core crap. It doesn't make sense. That's something you do with the server technology. You don't do that with gaming technology. It's a whole different ball game. You're separating little bits and pieces of everything, trying to make it work to where it's something nobody can duplicate. Nobody wants to duplicate your technology. AMD's got their own technology, and trust me, when it comes to gaming, they can game. And their 5800X3D, which is their last gen processor, games. So, and I got the 56. Well, let me see. Yeah, there it is. This is going to blow your mind right here. Yeah. Let's go back to the desktop. I'm going to put it to you again. 5600X3D. And they did that for their last gen. Everybody says, oh, their last gen was dead. Well, guess what? They built that. And you know what? They're building the 5700X3D for the last gen, and they're building the 5500X3D for the last gen. You see them, they're pushing the 3D technology. I don't see Intel doing it. So let's move on before I have a cornea or something. Okay. Not all cores give you the best performance. Overall performance. No. AMD's proved that already with NVIDIA, with having less cores on their 7800 XT graphics card compared to the RTX 4070. That they can keep up in the performance. I think they've already mastered that fact. So I don't see where you're coming with this. Processor-wise, I think they mastered the art of the X3D processors to where they push higher than Intel does. So, but they're not pushing cores. They're pushing cache. That's not cores. That's cache. It's something different. So, I think they've already mastered the fact of using less cores and pushed it into the more performance realm and to get more out of the cores than what everybody else is getting. So they're getting more performance out of their cores than everybody else is getting, including Intel, NVIDIA, and all. So there's nothing to really talk about here because Intel's just wrapping themselves in the mouth once again. So you kind of wrap yourself in the mouth about it. Oh, I forgot. That's what we're talking about. It's the last slide I got for it. So that's what they're talking about. And I want to thank Machine, one of my loyal subscribers, for leaving this information for me because I didn't get my chance to get my hands on it. And you know what? Machine, thank you very much for doing that. I got it on Discord. And I pulled it all off Discord. So we're using it today. Just to let you know, you got the props because you found the information. You know, there you go. I was in the car yesterday, so, you know, it was kind of hard for me to get that information, but I do appreciate you getting all the information. I'm posting it here today. We're talking about it, and we're getting it right out in the air. Now, I've already told you, I told you all about what I was thinking, and as we go through these slides. So, since I've already did that, this is final conclusion. Okay. Now, after I have to close all these windows, sorry, I got just a couple things I got to do here. And I'm just letting y'all sit there, you know. I know y'all are wondering, why are you letting me sit there while you do all that excess turning things off and everything else? Well, I do that because that way y'all can see I'm working. I'm working while I'm doing this. So y'all can see that I do work. And I do it. I don't play well when I work. You know. So, okay. I had to close everything out was the simple fact that, you know, when you get to the final part of it, you want to have everything set and ready for when you want to take and finish all the video and, you know, do your final formats and everything else. You want to make sure you get everything closed up so that way it starts process number 2. But anyway, I digress. I'll do like everybody else. I digress. I'm sorry, everybody. I digress. I digress. I had to do that, but anyway. Okay. Intel, from all my subscribers, and I know they're all thinking the same thing. There are some, you do have some great processors. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to AMD, and like I told you before, until you can prove me wrong, send me something that's going to blow my socks off, that I can show my subscribers that you got something that will blow my socks off. And so far, I haven't seen anything that does. You know, you have to prove that to me for me to say differently, that your claims will be 100% legit. And right now, I see your claims, but I don't see them being 100% legit. I really don't. I've seen how Intel went from the beginning to now. So, Intel, don't lie to everybody and tell everybody that, you know, you're the biggest, baddest on the block, which you're not. You have competitors. You have AMD as your competitor. And that's what spooks you so much, is because they're now, you know, going to new levels that you can't reach. To where you're mad because they can now reach with some of their processors 6 gigahertz that you're reaching. So don't underestimate all the companies that are out there making processors, my friends. It is what it is. Now, like I said, if you want to show me the biggest or the baddest, or even if AMD's got the biggest and the baddest they want to send me for testing, send it. Get into my email me, I'll give you my address, send that right to my house. And I'll test it right here, and I'll show everybody how big and bad you are. Individually, how big and bad you are. And I'll run it against the biggest and baddest I got here. So, if you think you're the biggest and the baddest, then prove it to me. You can't prove it to me, then don't talk about it, because for the simple fact you're just blowing hot air. This is nothing but hot air that I'm seeing coming out right now. So, but anyway, that's my 2 cents on this whole damn thing. That is my 2 cents on this whole damn thing. So take it like a grain of salt or take it like gold. Like I said, I put it all downtown right now about this. So I gave you my opinion, and there it is. Can't get any better than that. So I can tell you from the early 80s on, you know, how Intel is still a server-based company. They still haven't grown up yet, obviously. But anyway, when they do grow up, I'm sure they'll look and see, oh, the big kids are in the yard, that they're gonna have to, you know, get their 2 cents into the big kids in the yard. So anyway, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do, helping support the channel, watching videos from beginning to end, key trick, and telling your friends to come on down here to subscribe, key trick, and tell them to watch the videos from beginning to end as well. Okay? But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. So until the next time in the next video, this is JJ and JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next video.